The skies above Navoris, a desolate planet rich in ancient mysteries, burned with the light of plasma fire. The once quiet surface, marked by jagged obsidian ridges and shimmering blue auroras, now echoed with the sound of war. The Tharvak Dominion had arrived first. Their massive, angular warships descended upon the planet like steel predators, their crimson hulls bristling with weapons. Led by General Zorath Malik, a towering reptilian warrior whose scarred scales were a testament to his years of conquest, the Tharvaks claimed the ruins as their own. "Secure the perimeter," Zorath barked, his voice a guttural growl as he marched through the ash-strewn battlefield. "The AI belongs to the Dominion. We will harness its power and crush all who oppose us." The ancient AI, Auralis, was buried deep beneath the ruins of a forgotten civilization. The Dominion's intelligence operatives had intercepted fragments of old galactic archives pointing to its location. To them, Auralis was not just a relic, it was a weapon. As Tharvak soldiers deployed advanced excavation equipment to breach the ruins, the skies darkened with the arrival of the Lumirian Alliance. Their sleek, crystalline ships shimmered with an ethereal light, reflecting their philosophy of harmony and technological advancement. "Hold your fire," commanded Taris Ven, the Lumirian leader, his translucent crystalline form glowing faintly as he stepped onto the battlefield. "This is a sacred artifact, not a weapon of destruction. It must not fall into Tharvak hands." Zorath sneered, his golden eyes narrowing. "Sacred? You mean to hoard it for yourselves under the guise of peace? Do not insult my intelligence, Taris. The Dominion will not yield." The battle began swiftly, with the Tharvaks unleashing their brutal, unrelenting might. Plasma cannons roared, and Lumirian energy shields shimmered as they absorbed the onslaught. The Lumirians fought back with precision, using their advanced technology to disable Tharvak war machines rather than destroy them outright. Amid the chaos, excavation teams from both factions converged on the ancient temple that housed Auralis. The massive doors to the inner sanctum remained sealed, pulsing faintly with an energy that no tool or technology could penetrate. Weeks passed, and the battlefield remained locked in a brutal stalemate. The Tharvaks controlled the skies, their superior firepower keeping Lumirian reinforcements at bay. Meanwhile, the Lumirians maintained a foothold near the ruins, their engineers tirelessly working to decipher the ancient mechanisms guarding Auralis. Taris Ven stood in the Lumirian Command Center, a crystalline structure that shimmered faintly against the desolate landscape. Holographic projections of the battlefield flickered before him, displaying the relentless assault of Tharvak forces. "We cannot hold this position forever," said Alara Vin, Taris's chief strategist. Her form, more angular than Taris's, refracted the light like 1,000 tiny prisms. "Our shields are failing, and the Tharvaks grow more aggressive by the day." Taris's gaze shifted to the hologram of the ancient doors. "Auralis is the key. If we can awaken it, we may turn the tide." Alara hesitated. "Do we even know what we are trying to awaken? The AI has remained dormant for centuries. There is no guarantee it will side with us, or that it will not be a danger in itself." Taris's voice softened. "Auralis was created to guide, not to destroy. But I share your concern. That is why I have made a decision." He turned toward a communication terminal, his translucent hand hovering over the console. "We must seek help. If we cannot rely on our allies, we must reach out to the galaxy as a whole." Alara's crystalline form glimmered with apprehension. "The galaxy has turned its back on us before, Taris. Do you truly believe anyone will answer?" Taris's voice resonated with quiet determination. "We have no choice." Moments later, a signal burst forth from the Lumirian camp, traveling across the galaxy. It was a call for aid, a desperate plea to any who would listen. The signal's journey brought it to a small, unassuming blue planet on the edge of the galaxy, Earth. In a cluttered garage in the middle of rural Montana, Elliot Gray tinkered with a contraption that looked more like a mad scientist's experiment than a functioning piece of technology. Wires snaked across the floor, and shelves were crammed with half-finished gadgets and blinking lights. Stuart, a silver-furred tabby with an uncanny knack for finding trouble, sat on a stack of blueprints, his tail flicking idly as he watched Elliot mutter to himself. "All right, Stu, this is it," Elliot said, tightening a bolt on a makeshift satellite receiver. "If this works, we'll finally pick up something interesting. Or maybe we'll just hear more cosmic noise. Either way, it's better than nothing." The receiver crackled to life, emitting bursts of static. Elliot adjusted a knob, and the noise resolved into a series of rhythmic pulses and hums. "Wait a second." Elliot leaned closer. "This isn't background radiation. This is a signal." Stuart meowed, as if to confirm the discovery. The cat leapt onto the console, pawing at the controls. One of his errant taps triggered a sequence of lights on the monitor, and suddenly, the static transformed into a clear message. A holographic figure appeared, tall and crystalline, with eyes that shimmered like distant stars. "Help us," the figure said. "Our people need you." Elliot froze, staring at the image in disbelief. Am I dreaming, or did my cat just decode an alien message? The hologram continued, showing flashes of two alien factions locked in battle, their ships lighting up a barren planet's surface. The ancient AI Auralis is the key. If the Tharvak Dominion seizes it, the galaxy will burn. We cannot hold them back alone. We seek aid from any who will answer. Elliot sat back, his mind racing. Earth wasn't part of any intergalactic alliance, and humanity was barely a blip on the cosmic radar. Yet here was a call for help, a chance to do something that mattered. Stuart pawed at the screen, his luminous green eyes wide with curiosity. "Yeah, I know, Stu," Elliot said, scratching the cat behind the ears. "This is insane. But maybe, just maybe, it's also exactly what we're meant to do." Elliot stood, his resolve hardening. "All right, buddy. Let's see what the Stellar Ember can do." Stuart purred, hopping off the console and following Elliot toward the garage's exit. Together, they stepped into the unknown, ready to answer the galaxy's call for help. The Stellar Ember emerged from its jump, the vibrant blue of hyperspace dissolving into the stark, chaotic orbit of Navoris. Elliot's hands tightened on the controls as he took in the scene. The planet below was a mix of jagged terrain and glowing energy fields, but it was the warships that caught his attention. Massive Tharvak destroyers patrolled aggressively, their crimson hulls bristling with weapons. Nearby, Lumirian crystalline ships formed a defensive grid, their shimmering surfaces reflecting the planet's faint auroras. "This looks dicey," Elliot muttered. "Understatement," said Vix, the Ember's AI, her voice laced with dry sarcasm. "You are entering an active war zone with a cat and a freighter. Bold strategy." Elliot glanced at Stuart, who sat unbothered on the co-pilot's chair, casually grooming his silver fur. "Stuart's the bold one here. I'm just the guy pressing buttons." The radio crackled as a crystalline voice cut through the static. "Unidentified vessel, this is Lumirian Command. State your purpose immediately." Elliot took a deep breath and leaned toward the console. "This is Elliot Gray, from Earth. I'm here in response to your signal. Don't shoot, please. I'm here to help." There was a pause. Then a second voice, calmer and resonant, came through. "Elliot Gray, we expected no reply. Yet you have come. You may land at our coordinates. Any deviation will result in your destruction." "Friendly," Elliot muttered, punching in the coordinates. The Ember descended through Navoris' atmosphere, shaking slightly as it passed through layers of turbulence. The landing site was a makeshift Lumirian base nestled into the crags of an obsidian canyon. Elliot stepped out of the Ember cautiously, Stuart perched on his shoulder like a furry co-pilot. The Lumirians emerged to meet him, their crystalline forms glowing faintly in the dim light. Taris Ven, their leader, approached, his translucent figure radiating a calm but commanding presence. "You are the one who answered our plea. From Earth?" "That's right," Elliot said, his voice steady despite the alien stares. "This is Stuart. He's the brains of the operation." Stuart meowed softly, and Taris tilted his head. "A curious creature. Your kind never ceases to surprise us." Elliot shrugged. "We do our best. Now how about you tell me what we're up against?" Taris led Elliot through the Lumirian base, where holographic maps displayed the ruins and their surroundings. The Tharvak Dominion's forces were visible on the projections, closing in with relentless efficiency. "Auralis lies within the sanctum," Taris explained, gesturing to an image of a massive, sealed chamber deep beneath the ruins. "Its defenses are formidable, and the Tharvaks have been unable to breach them, but their persistence will not waver." "And you want me to help get inside?" Elliot asked. Taris nodded. "Our engineers have failed to activate the door mechanisms. Your species' unconventional approach to technology may provide an advantage." Elliot chuckled. "You're banking on human improvisation. Bold move." The group descended into the ruins, the air growing cooler and heavier as they moved deeper into the ancient structure. Stuart leapt from Elliot's shoulder, padding ahead with the curiosity of a true explorer. The cat's luminous green eyes seemed to glow in the dim light, catching the attention of the Lumirians. "Is it common for Earth creatures to display such fearlessness?" asked Alara Vin, Taris's chief strategist. Elliot grinned. "Stuart's one of a kind." As they reached the sanctum's massive doors, Elliot's grin faded. The entrance was an imposing wall of intricately carved metal, pulsing faintly with light. The patterns seemed to shift and rearrange themselves, almost like a living puzzle. "We've tried everything," Alara said. "Force, energy, encryption algorithms. Nothing works." Elliot knelt in front of the door, studying its patterns. Stuart, ever curious, jumped onto a nearby console. The moment his paw touched the controls, the door emitted a low hum, and the patterns began to align. The Lumirians gasped. Taris turned to Elliot. "Your creature. It is the key." Elliot blinked, watching as Stuart casually batted at the glowing symbols. "Apparently." With a final resonant chime, the doors began to slide open, revealing a dark chamber beyond. "Well, Stu," Elliot said, scratching the cat's ears. "Looks like you're running the show." The chamber was massive, its walls covered in glowing glyphs that shifted and pulsed like a heartbeat. At its center stood the Auralis core, a crystalline structure suspended in a column of shimmering energy. Elliot approached cautiously, his gaze fixed on the core. "So, this is Auralis. Doesn't look too scary." The moment Stuart stepped into the chamber, the glyphs on the walls flared brightly. A resonant voice filled the room, deep and melodic. "Identify yourself." The Lumirians froze, their crystalline bodies reflecting the sudden light. Taris stepped forward, his voice steady. "I am Taris Ven, of the Lumirian Alliance. We seek your guidance, Auralis." The core pulsed, and the voice continued. "My creators are gone. Why do you disturb my rest?" Before Taris could respond, Stuart leapt onto the central console, his paw activating a sequence of lights. Auralis's voice softened. "A creature of Earth. Curious. Adaptive. The qualities my creators valued most." Elliot stared. "Wait, are you saying Stuart's the reason you woke up?" "Earth's creatures possess a purity of purpose," Auralis replied. "This one displays curiosity untainted by greed. It has awakened my systems." Taris turned to Elliot, awe evident in his glowing eyes. "Your companion is remarkable." "Yeah," Elliot muttered. "He's full of surprises." Before they could celebrate, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Alara's voice crackled through the comms. "Tharvak forces have breached the outer defenses. They're coming for the core." Auralis spoke again. "If I am to aid you, I must fully awaken. Protect this chamber until the process is complete." Elliot nodded, turning to Taris. "You heard the AI. Let's hold the line." Taris signaled his forces, and the Lumirians prepared for battle. Stuart, seemingly unfazed by the chaos, climbed onto Elliot's shoulder, ready for whatever came next. The ground shook as Tharvak war machines advanced on the sanctum, their weapons lighting up the darkness. Lumirian soldiers held their ground, their crystalline weapons firing precise beams of energy that disabled rather than destroyed. Elliot worked furiously at the chamber's consoles, rerouting power to the sanctum's defenses. "Vix, patch me into the base's systems." "Working on it," Vix replied. "And might I suggest you move faster? The giant lizards are getting closer." Stuart leapt from Elliot's shoulder, darting across the consoles. The cat's movements activated several dormant systems, including automated turrets that sprang to life and began targeting the Tharvaks. "You're a genius, Stu," Elliot said, grinning. The battle raged on, but the Lumirians, bolstered by Elliot's ingenuity and Stuart's surprising contributions, managed to hold their ground. Finally, the Auralis core pulsed brightly, its voice resonating through the chamber. "I am fully operational. The time for action is now." The Tharvak forces hesitated as the core's energy radiated outward, disabling their war machines and forcing them to retreat. Taris turned to Elliot, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have saved us, for now, but the Tharvaks will return." Elliot glanced at Stuart, who purred contentedly. "Then we'd better make sure Auralis is ready for whatever comes next." The Lumirian base buzzed with activity as the Lumirian forces scrambled to fortify their defenses. The Tharvak Dominion's forces had been temporarily repelled, but the victory felt hollow. Everyone knew the Tharvaks would return, likely with greater numbers and even deadlier weapons. In the heart of the sanctum, the Auralis core pulsed with a steady glow. The AI, now fully operational, filled the chamber with its resonant voice. "The Tharvak Dominion will not cease their efforts. They crave power above all else. We must act decisively to prevent them from using me as a weapon." Elliot stood at the console, rubbing his temples as he tried to process the situation. Stuart, perched on a nearby ledge, flicked his tail as if waiting for someone to acknowledge his importance. "So, what's the plan?" Elliot asked, glancing at Taris Venn, who stood beside him. Taris's crystalline form shimmered faintly. "Our forces are limited. If the Tharvaks return in full strength, we will not survive another assault," Auralis interjected. "The ancient systems within this facility include offensive and defensive capabilities. However, they require direct activation, something only your Earth companion can accomplish." Elliot raised an eyebrow. "Stuart? You mean the cat?" "Correct. His actions during the awakening process have linked him to my systems. His movements trigger responses in ways no other being can replicate. He embodies curiosity and adaptability, traits essential to my operation." Elliot blinked, then turned to Stuart. "Well, Stu, looks like you're the galaxy's MVP." Stuart meowed nonchalantly, leaping onto the console and settling down as if the weight of the galaxy wasn't resting on his furry shoulders. The calm before the storm didn't last long. Within hours, Lumirian scouts reported a massive fleet of Tharvak warships descending upon the planet. Their leader, General Zorath Malik, had returned, and this time, he wasn't holding back. From the command center, Elliot watched the holographic display as dozens of red blips, Tharvak ships, moved into formation. "Here we go," Elliot muttered, tightening his grip on the console. "Vix, what's the status of the base defenses?" "Functional but inadequate," Vix replied. "You're outnumbered, outgunned, and out of your mind for staying." "Noted," Elliot said. Taris stood tall, his voice calm but firm. "The Lumirian people have faced extinction before. We will stand against them, no matter the odds." Elliot glanced at Stuart, who seemed utterly unbothered by the chaos. "Guess we don't have a choice. Stu, you ready to do your thing?" Stuart stretched lazily before hopping down and trotting toward the Auralis core. The AI's voice resonated once again. "When the time comes, I will unleash a countermeasure capable of disabling the Tharvak fleet. But I require time to charge the system. You must hold the line." Taris nodded. "We will protect the core at all costs." The Tharvak assault began with a deafening roar as their warships unleashed a barrage of plasma fire on the Lumirian defenses. The shimmering shields held, for now, but the strain was evident. Elliot sprinted between consoles, rerouting power to critical systems and coordinating with the Lumirian engineers. "Taris, tell your people to focus fire on their heavy artillery. If we lose the shields, it's over." The Lumirian leader relayed the command, his calm demeanor masking the urgency of the situation. Meanwhile, Stuart darted through the sanctum, leaping onto control panels and triggering dormant defense mechanisms. Turrets sprang to life, raining precise energy blasts on the advancing Tharvak forces. "Is he piloting the defenses?" Taris asked, marveling at the cat's movements. "Don't question it," Elliot said, grinning despite the chaos. "Just let him work." The Tharvaks pushed closer, their ground troops breaching the outer defenses. Lumirian soldiers engaged them with crystalline weapons, their energy beams disabling Tharvak war machines with surgical precision. Elliot grabbed a plasma rifle from a nearby rack and joined the fight, ducking behind cover as energy bolts whizzed past him. "Stuart, any chance you've got a miracle up your sleeve?" Stuart leapt onto the central console of the Auralis core, triggering a series of glowing glyphs. The AI's voice echoed through the sanctum. Defensive grid activated, redirecting power to auxiliary systems. A wave of energy radiated from the core, temporarily stunning the Tharvak troops. "Nice one, Stu," Elliot shouted. The battle reached its climax as the Tharvak forces brought their heavy artillery to bear, targeting the sanctum itself. The ground shook as massive energy beams struck the shields, creating blinding flashes of light. Inside the sanctum, Auralis's core began to pulse with increasing intensity. "The countermeasure is nearly ready. Prepare for deployment." Taris turned to Elliot. "Once Auralis activates, the energy surge will disable all technology within range, ours included. You must ensure your ship is ready to escape." Elliot hesitated. "What about you? Your people?" "We will survive," Taris said firmly. "This is our duty." The sanctum's doors buckled as Tharvak troops breached the final line of defense. Elliot fired his rifle, holding them back as long as he could. Stuart, meanwhile, triggered another wave of defensive turrets, buying precious seconds. Finally, Auralis spoke. "The countermeasure is ready, initiating deployment." A surge of blinding light erupted from the core, spreading outward like a shockwave. Tharvak ships and ground forces alike were disabled instantly, their systems fried by the overwhelming energy. Elliot shielded his eyes as the light faded. When he looked up, the battlefield was silent. The Tharvaks had been defeated. The aftermath of the battle brought a strange, peaceful stillness to Navoris. The Tharvak Dominion, humbled by their defeat, retreated from the planet, leaving the Lumirians in control of the Auralis core. Taris approached Elliot, his glowing eyes filled with gratitude. "You and your companion have done more for us than we could have ever hoped. Auralis is safe, thanks to you." Elliot glanced at Stuart, who was now napping contentedly on the console. "It was a team effort." The AI's voice echoed one final time. "The galaxy is at a crossroads. Use this piece wisely, or risk repeating the mistakes of the past." Taris nodded solemnly. "We will honor your wisdom, Auralis." As the stellar ember prepared for departure, Lumirian soldiers and civilians alike gathered to bid farewell to their unlikely saviors. Stuart, now a galactic hero, received more attention than he cared for, enduring gentle pats and reverent stares with his usual aloofness. Elliot grinned as he climbed aboard the ship. "Come on, Stu. Let's go home. I think you've earned a lifetime of naps." The ember lifted off, leaving Navoris behind. But as the ship disappeared into the stars, the legacy of a human, a cat, and an ancient AI would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. The end.